Today's episode is one of the pandemic self-care Facebook Live conversations I've had early on when the pandemic first hit back in March and April. 36 amazing, beautiful podcast guests who had previously been on the show had joined me for these pandemic self-care live conversations. So I am sharing them now in the audio version. All right. Until next time, remember, be gentle with yourself. All right, it says we're live on Facebook. So, hey, everybody, it's Teri Wellbrock, host of the Healing Place podcast. So, today I'm very excited to have Suzy Ross, PhD, with me to have another pandemic self-care conversation. So, welcome, Suzy.
Welcome. Thanks.
Yeah, I'm really excited to talk to you. Again, I told you a while ago when we were talking and chatting before we went live that I stalked your website, and yeah, I got your bio and just such great works. Can I read the bio info for everyone?
Sounds great.
Yeah. So therapist, consultant, professor, author, facilitator of learning, personal growth, and healing, which is yay, awesome stuff. So yeah, and you have well, one of the things that we talked about was an author. You have a book out, and it's The Map to Wholeness.
Mhm.
So talk to people a little bit about you and what it is you're doing.
Okay. Well, I am a professor in my day job, and the particular discipline is recreation therapy, which is a holistic body, mind, spirit intervention in hospitals, prisons, nursing homes, pediatrics, therapeutic camps, parks and recreation,
Wow.
all over the place. And we use play as medicine. So anytime someone is having a difficult time, body, mind, or spirit, in rehab, mental health, or they have a disability, my students learn how to be a recreation therapist to help people to enjoy their life, but also to become healthier through play. So that's what I do in my day job. And then as a part of my life's work is the analysis of transformation and the psychology of life-changing experience. And so that's the topic of my book, The Map to Wholeness, is all about my research about the process of transformation.
How beautiful and wonderful. And I love it. I worked in a mental health agency and, yeah, working with kiddos and how much play. And a lot of the therapists on staff utilize play as a healing tool for the kids. And it was just wonderful to see that in action. Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful. All right. So let's talk about some pandemic self-care stuff and strategies that you can offer up to people.
Well, I think when I was reflecting about what I might be talking about today to be of service to others, is what I'm calling tools for transformation. And so a couple weeks ago, when this all started getting really bad, I was exercising is in the morning, which is kind of my daily meditation time. And it really became obvious to me on that day that I really need to create a video every day to help my have my work be of service. And so I call it tools for transformation. And in doing those, I'm sure you found this, that in doing these little daily videos, it's been a very good teacher for me because it's helping me to sift through the fine details of transformation from and how my work can literally help on a daily basis. So, for example, right now the whole world is in a life-changing experience,
Right.
and the life-changing experience is phase 3 of 13 phases of transformation. So my research showed that transformation happens through these 13 phases in the shape of a figure 8. And so the first part of transformation is the upper part of the figure 8. And that's what the whole world is in right now. We're in the apex of that 8 in phase 3, which is the life-changing experience. So when I'm giving these tools for transformation, over the last 20 days, I've been doing, today's day 21 of the tools. I think of all the tools that I've given so far, I believe that the most important one is to help people to understand that what the world is going through is actually an initiation into the feminine. So I want to say some more.
Yeah.
So in across time and across many cultures, there are traditional rites of passage or initiation, and those were the old ways of facilitating transformation on purpose, where the wise one the elder would be leading the initiate through the process of transformation. And the mechanism to do that was a rite of passage. And those rites of passage can be kind of divided into two major types. The first type is more of a masculine initiation. And those are the ones that we kind of hear about or know about. And that's the hero's journey. That's the quest where the initiate leaves home and they go on a journey to find themselves, but also to seek a vision or to learn or to become something greater than they had been before. And during that initiation is an outward movement. It's very visible to others. Other people know that you're out on that quest, and it's kind of sexy, and you get challenges and all sorts of things, and you come home.
Right.
And that's kind of like the hero's journey type of the upper part of the figure 8 in my research. So that's one pathway that most is the most well known. But the other pathway is the initiation of the feminine, and that is the oldest myth on the earth is a feminine initiation, Ainana's initiation. And in the feminine initiation tends to be where the initiate goes into a cave or a hut, and then they sit in the darkness, and there's very little movement. There's very little interaction to no interaction with others, and it's time to go into the darkness and to go within. And so hopefully you're starting to get the parallels.
Yeah.
That all around the world right now, everyone, of course, is being forced to be in their home and to dwell, to have very little movement, and that those conditions cause us to go within, whether we want to or not, just by virtue of the lack of movement and also being in the home.
Yeah.
So you can see now that the entire world is going through an initiation into the feminine, where there's this indwelling phenomena. So why is that important? Because the feminine initiation is about becoming and embodying that the earth, really, self as feminine. So it doesn't matter whether you're a man or a woman, of course. What's happening to us is that we are becoming embodiments of feminine. And what's really exciting is, of course, over the last many centuries, the human race, by and large, has embodied the masculine. We as a humanity have, by and large, have become capable of embodying the masculine, going outward, conquering, being strong, being courageous, being brave, being hardened and in spite of it all, and just a lot of movement, and that's not what the feminine is. And the lack of movement that we're having right now is playing a very important role in forcing us to soften and to slow down immensely, to soften and to open and to go within. All of those things are critical for that feminine initiation, because the process itself develops your feminine. So the process that we're undergoing is causing us to become into that embodiment. That to me is extremely exciting. because of course the eventuality for humanity is to develop the masculine, develop the feminine, and in so doing, a union of the both within,
Oh
which
my
is of
gosh,
course.
I was going to
Mhm,
ask that. Like,
yes,
is the ideal to have gone through both processes and both initiations, and to just to be this combination of the benefits of both.
yes,
Okay.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's the whole point. I mean, Carl Jung, the famous psychologist, the inner marriage is it was the goal for all of us, and that development of both the masculine and feminine, and then the union of that within us, so that we are balanced and whole, and wholeness is the goal. And that's really amazing because the research that is the foundation of my book, uh, surprising outcomes from the research showed that the whole process of transformation is just that. That transformation before my research was always defined more in the realm of the hero's journey type of thing, where there's a beginning, middle, and end, and then it's over. You're transformed. This masculine journey, but in fact, what came out of the research that I did was that was just half of transformation. And then if you don't do the second half, you don't transform. And so I call the lower half of the figure eight the hidden half of transformation that's been hidden for, hundreds of years, if not longer. And if you put the upper circle and the lower circle together, that's what creates the transformation. And the upper half is the masculine, the lower half is the feminine. When you do the whole figure eight, you're completely transformed, and the process brings you both the integration of masculine and feminine, and other polarities as well.
Very cool. And a part of what I thought about was, envisioning the figure eight is that it's that infinite loop, right? And so I was going to ask, does transformation happen and then the work is done, or is it that you keep coming around to and learning new parts of, continuing the journey, I guess, and you can stay on and learn more about the feminine and the masculine and continue that.
Yep, exactly. The once you complete a full transformation, and you stretch yourself more than you ever have, and you become another new you, then after you figure out or finish a figure eight, then you just go into another one. And
Yeah.
so the most I interviewed a lady who was in her 90s, and she transformed 3 times in one lifetime. So transformation takes, a long time to make a whole new human being. Somewhere around 15 years uh, seems to be the magic number.
Awesome. Well,
Mhm.
that's just fascinating to me. Yeah, and well, I'm just such a research geek anyway. And so I just love learning these types of, these philosophies. But I completely understand. And I agree that there's just a shift occurring. And I think this situation, this pandemic has been a catalyst for creating, like you said, a lot of people going inward, and learning about sitting with themselves. I had just put out a post yesterday or today on the Facebook, the Healing Place podcast Facebook page, and it was something about sit with it, sit with it, sit with it. Sit with your emotions, whatever they are, because that's where the healing occurs.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
That's why the feminine initiation is all about the sitting, because when you really are dwelling and sitting and going within, that's the road to transformation for sure. Um, but the other thing that is really important with this type of initiation that we're all going through is a detox. And I feel like that's the second most important thing for me to communicate is we're really going through a detox on many levels of an old way of being that's been very entrenched neurologically in our being, on all
Yeah.
levels of our being. And the detoxification is one of the important ones, is detoxing from so much stimulation. So when we're just in the house all the time, the amount of stimuli has just been radically reduced in our lives, and that, so we're detoxing from all that stimulation all day long. And then we're also detoxing. I think the most important detox that we're having is a detox from movement, and that our body, mind, and spirit is so habituated to move, 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 all the
Yeah.
time moving, whether we want to be moving or not. Our being is so habituated to movement. And so the lack of movement is so uncomfortable. Lack
Yes.
of stimulation is so uncomfortable. And in particular, also detoxing from interacting with other humans. Not that, of course, it's healthy to be around other humans, but just the drive to the social norms around being around other people all the time, instead of this sort of social norm of a balance of solitude. And it's amazing. So just noticing this detox and being gentle on ourselves, because um, it really is a detox. Like because our neurology is like, we got to move, we got to
Yeah.
move, we got to see people, we need stimulation. And so the body, the nervous system, oh my gosh, and it's profound that this isolation is happening and it will happen for so long,
Yeah.
because we really will detox from these deeply ingrained uh, patterns and in our bodies. And then when we come out of it, our body is going to crave that quietness. It's going to crave the stillness. It's going to crave the less stimulation. And wow, what a totally different life it will be for us to crave that in our bodies. And then the process of, and work has to get done. So
Right.
that's like a whole nother thing that, so I'm like, it's amazing to me, because I'm going to get a chance to chronicle the process of transformation as the whole world goes through it.
Yeah.
Like, right now we're in phase 3. And then pretty soon we're going to be in phase 4, the whole world.
Right.
It's a little bit, it's like profound for me to think, oh my God, I've spent 20 years studying transformation.
And
And I
now
was like,
here it is,
and now here it is.
but on a global level.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
and my book just got published in January. So I'm like
Oh my
just coming
gosh.
out of my cave, because I've been
Yeah.
like, it's just been me, myself, and my computer for like forever. And so I'm not even used to talking to people except, so I'm like,
Right.
does anybody want to talk about transformation? So,
Yeah, I love it. And you said two things that really struck with me just a moment ago. And I've talked about this quite a bit in my own healing journey and on the podcast of two mindsets that completely changed when I was in EMDR therapy. That completely changed it just shifted. It was a life altering moment. Was you said just notice and be gentle. And those two things were so powerful in my transition, my own personal transition. And it was a matter of just noticing the sensations that were arising, or triggers that were happening, or how certain meditation was working, or how yoga impacted me, or all of that, the healing modalities I was using. And then that be gentle is very critical. And I'm glad you mentioned that.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, very much so. So, one of the things we had talked about before we went live was, I said, would you be willing to talk about your hike in Colorado and your own personal, I guess, transition? My oldest son lives in Colorado, and we had gone to Estes Park, and it was just magnificent. So, yeah, I'd love to hear that in the audience.
Uh, well, you're telling the group about my life changing, my probably one of the most, it is the pivotal life changing experience of my life. I was actually very much near Estes Park, actually, in Colorado, and I was a young age, somewhere around 21 or 22 years old, and I was leading backpacking trips for the whole summer. There was my college job, and I was leading teenagers, and had spent the whole summer living in a sleeping bag, not even in a tent. And it was the very last week of the summer when this thing happened to me. And I It had been raining for a week straight, and we were really, really cold and sopping wet. And uh, got up this one magical morning, and we were sleeping right at tree line, which is where the trees end, and then there's the bald mountain. And woke up and sat up in your sleeping bag. You still have your sleeping bag around you, and right over the mountain pass came hundreds and hundreds of elk, and they
Oh
just
my
like
gosh.
rumbled the earth, and they weren't close to us, but close enough, and the earth rumbled, and we just watched them, and that's how the day started. It was so amazing. And we got up and got ourselves together and ate some food, went over that same pass where the elk had been, and we got over the top of the saddle of two mountains. And then it came along, and then there was this ridge that we walked for, I don't know, a couple miles, and there was a panoramic view on both sides. And my partner was at the beginning of the line, and I was at the end of the line. We're just in this line following each other with our backpacks on. And I just was just walking along, and then I don't know what happened. I just left my body. It was unbelievable. I wasn't on any drugs or anything, or didn't do drugs. And,
Right,
and it
right.
was just like, it was not, it was just like that. I mean, and then I was just went boom, and I just went everywhere that you can see, everything that I could see and not see. It was just everywhere in the whole universe. And it was absolutely an unbelievable experience. I remember being a blade of grass, a part of a piece of wood, air molecule, the wind, like way off distant places, and it was all very normal. And uh, it was, I just shake
Yeah, no,
thinking
I'm
about
getting
it.
choked up hearing you talk about it because I
Yeah.
can feel it. And yeah, I mean, to have those profound moments, and again, I've had a similar one myself that I've talked about, but it is one of those moments. It just it changes everything, your entire outlook and your being, and it's just it's so hard to put words to it,
Hmm.
because it's just not. It's undescribable unless it's been experienced. But yeah, it's beautiful, and so yeah. So thank you for sharing that. Yeah.
Yeah. I if I will, that I really feel like the book and the research that founds the book was all my journey since that day, and that my meta question in life then was, you have a life changing experience, and you come home, and then what?
Yeah.
What do you do with it when you feel so different on the inside, and the rest of your life is just marching on? And so that's why, I really, in retrospect, that's why I dedicated the rest of my life to understanding transformation, and the integration of transformation in particular. But I do think that, or I know that, um, my book is kind of like the exclamation point of finalizing that transformation that began almost 30 years ago. That it's kind of like that day started me on a 30-year trajectory that eventually birthed this book. And it's almost like that experience uh, had within it
Yes.
this the message of this book.
Yeah. And I totally understand that, and I get it. And I had been down to a writer's workshop through Hay House, and I think Mike Dooley, I think he talked about that similar thing, that we don't know that the things that are impacting us back here, in hindsight, when we get here on our path, that we look back and go, oh, okay, that did that happened for a reason, like that correlated to what's happening in this moment.
Mm-hmm.
And
All
yeah, very
connected,
profound.
all connected to each other.
Oh,
Um,
right.
right. And that's why when I saw the figure eight for the first time, when the co-researchers and I were analyzing and compiling the data, and we compiled it all, and it became this image. And when I saw it, I knew the literature. And when I saw it, I thought, oh my goodness, I'm going to have to write a book, because there is there this is new knowledge authentically. Like, there is nothing in the literature that has been able to identify how transformation unfolds in detail. And
Yeah,
so that was pretty cool.
that is very cool. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to dive in and read it. That's awesome. So, how do people, is it available now?
Yeah, so it became published January 7th through North Atlantic Books, which is part of Penguin Publishing, which
Okay.
I'm very proud of, both of those. And so it can be purchased in any venue online. And I'm real happy that they invested in an audiobook too. So
Oh,
the audiobook was published just on March 31st. So you can get, and this
yeah.
wonderful lady, Dominique, did an incredible job doing the narration of the book. And I have a website that has like a quiz that you can take that will help you to determine what phase of transformation you're in, which I should tell you that everyone in the world's in phase 3 right now.
Right.
Like, everyone is, so I still can't believe it.
Even if we've looped through once, we're back at 3.
Well, what's interesting is that transformation is holonic. It's fractal. So what that means is that everyone is in phase 3. However, everyone is also in your own individual
Yeah.
transformation trajectory as well. So we're simultaneously in different phases at the same time. There is going to be one phase that is your overwhelming personal phase. So for example, before we started talking on the phone, you told me about how you're having this like major, wonderful life thing happening.
Yeah.
And so when you told me that, I was like, oh, you're in phase 11, or you're probably in phase 11 in your life. And then this pandemic hit. So you're in phase 3 because you're experiencing this life, but your predominant phase of your life is phase 11. So you're actually having this happy moment during this time when a lot of
Right.
the world's having this like horrible experience and traumatic and crisis and all these other things.
Right.
And you're like, oh my gosh, I'm having a really good experience right now. And that's because you're in phase 11.
Yeah.
And so that's an important thing to keep in mind. But it gets complex, right? When you start out, okay, I'm in phase 3, but I'm also in phase 11. And
Right. No, but I so get it. I understand like the levels, and I love it. I just, I'm like, I'm going to go order it as soon as we're
yeah.
done here, because I just find it all so
Great.
fascinating. Yeah. Very cool. Awesome. Well, thank
Well,
you.
there's a quiz on my website, which is suzyross.net, net, SUZYROSS. And so you can take the quiz, and then you can go to the page. It'll take you to the page that's all about that phase. And on that page is a video where I take you through lots of artwork that is emblematic of what it feels like to be in that phase. So I just spent a ton of time picking out like just the most perfect images, that each image can be 1,000 words. And then my voiceover kind of walks you through what it's like to be in that phase. There's a poem about what it's like to be in that phase. There's a little narrative, blah, blah, blah. So that's there to help people. And also then my tools for transformation videos are also like on YouTube, Facebook, and on my website and those kinds of things. But my social media is Suzy Ross Author.
Okay.
So if you just do Suzy Ross Author, you should be able to find most of my work, or suzyross.net.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So anything else that you'd like to address along the pandemic self-care, um, yeah, arena?
Mm-hmm. I think that during a life-changing experience, uh, there are three points in transformation, three of the phases when we have an interaction with the divine or God or the mystery or consciousness or something beyond you.
Yeah.
Phase three that we're all in the world is when we get to intermingle with something larger than ourselves. So, what do I mean by that? Is that when you go through a life changing event, you either expand or you shatter. If you expand when you have a positive experience, when you're having a positive life changing experience, you expand. Whereas if you have a trauma, the psyche shatters. Okay, either way, what happens is there's an opening or shattering, and guess what? There's an interaction then. What do you open into? What do you shatter into? You're opening into something beyond yourself, your
Yeah.
soul, God, whatever you want to say, but it's definitely something that is a realm that is beyond you. And so that's the whole world is therefore open. We are
Yeah.
being there, we are being catalyzed. We are being, and then catalyst means to completely loosen. So if we go back to the etymology of the word catalyze, it means completely loosen. So we're being loosened, opened, and we have this wonderful time right now to have access to knowledge and consciousness that we don't normally do under normal circumstances.
Right.
So this is a very special time for you to meditate, to go within, to ask questions of your psyche, of your mind, of God, whatever, because we are at a time where we're closer. And when
Yeah.
this is over, we have a contraction and a closing. And then there is a barrier then that between us and something else.
Yeah.
So now is
And
the time.
I just thought, as you said that, I thought about what you were saying about, we're busy, 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 busy. And so, yeah, it is almost as if it's like, hold up, I can't connect right now because I've got to go do this and I've got to drive here and I got to go meet my friend for beers. And, and so, yeah, so it becomes, kind of a hold up, closing off of that connection. So, yeah, I totally envisioned that.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
for sure. All right. Well, this has been just absolutely intriguing and wonderful, and I'm so glad we connected. It took us a little bit to figure it out,
Yeah,
but thank you for your patience as we tried to figure out why Zoom was not connecting to Facebook. And but yeah, this has just been wonderful.
we
Thank
made
you.
it.
Yeah, we made it. That's right. We
Yeah.
made it work.
Hopefully it works. I don't even know. Maybe it's working right now. Maybe it's not. I guess we'll
Yeah,
find out later.
it says we're live on Facebook,
Oh, it
so
says we're live.
yeah.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, so it's working, and then one way or another, I'll have the video and I'll pop it over somehow onto the Healing Place podcast page, and I'll put it out on YouTube and put it out on audio. So yeah,
That's great.
we made it work.
Uh-huh. Awesome. I'm excited about it. It's like I said before, I've been in my own little cave here forever, and it's fun
Right.
it's fun to finally talk about it. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I'm just so glad. Yeah, you shared it with us. So thank you again.
yeah, absolutely.
All
Thank you
right,
for your
everyone.
wonderful podcasts. Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh, thank you. Yeah, it's just, you had mentioned earlier about, your work, your life work, and I call this my soul work because it truly is. I have a company that I own and it pays the bills, but this is my soul calling, and I just feel so blessed to be able to do it and meet such amazing people from across the globe. I mean, here you're coming to me from California, and yeah, and it's just such a blessing to me, and it makes my heart happy.
I can tell. I can feel it. Thank you.
Thank you. All
Mm.
right, everyone. Well, thanks for listening in. And remember, until next time, be gentle with yourself. All right. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.